So I'm going to start working on this shaft. It's a very long spindle. I had to move my lathe out so I could push the headstock back. I usually have it sitting about a foot in, so it sits nicely in this area that I have in the basement. But the spindle is too long for the length that I have with normally my headstock foot in. So I pulled it out a little bit, we'll push the headstock back, locked it in, and I'm going to use this spur center. These points and little knives will cut into the end of the wood, cause it to spin, and then at the other end I just have the live center to spin with it. So first I'm going to mark the centers. With the center finder. I've used it before. You just push and make an X along each side. That'll give you the center of the piece. So the center would be in the middle, right there. This shaft is going to be made out of hard maple. Again, similarly, the center will be right there. And use this awl to push in the center points to help align the spur drive and the live center. Divot there and there. And this is how it'll fit on the lathe. Now a lot of people will hammer this spur drive in to help it get an initial cut. I have another spur drive somewhere. Somewhere. I'll find it and I'll show it to you. I ended up hammering in the drive center. Give it a good bite on the end of the wood. So it's tight in here and it's tight on the tailstock. Push it in. Tailstock is locked in place. Lock in the quill drive. Set this up. Make sure it's not going to hit your tool rest. Parallel with the piece. Turn it on. Spin it up. So with this piece of wood, unlike a bowl, all the grain runs left to right. The bowl, it can be running left to right, front to back, any which way, so that's why I use a bowl gouge. With spindle turning, you can use a spindle roughing gouge. This is used to take off all these corners as it comes in. Big piece. I have this very large one, and then a normal spindle roughing gouge. So I'll probably use this to get it somewhat circular. Then go to the smaller one to refine the shape. I want to put a tenon on this end, and this end's going to have a long tenon. So, get my face shield on. And we'll start turning. So as you can see, we're slowly taking off the corners, getting it to round. I'll keep working on it. So I've gotten it mostly round. You can obviously see where it's still flat on the sides. So I'm going to switch over to this finer tool and make it round. So you can hold the back of your tool on the spindle, and if it were flat, it'd bump. If it were smooth, it would not. So you can see right here, this area is nice and smooth, where this area still has some bumps, or is not perfectly round. So if you spin your tool and hold it here, it doesn't jump, it glides nice. Go over here, you can hear it jumping. It's close, or somewhere like over here. It's nowhere near round. So I'll keep working back towards the headstock, making it round. Just round for now until I think of the shape I want to make it. One thing to note is this is, I believe, 32 inches long, and support wise, the most support is right here and down at the tailstock. As you get towards the center, there's very little support. So if you push real hard, it's going to vibrate, it's going to gouge really bad. So light cuts with very sharp tools in the center. There you can see I went a little too far off the tool rest. My tool angle shifted and I got a catch. So I dug in, created a big gouge right here. It's fine because right now this is not the thickness it's going to be. It's going to be a lot thinner. So I can take that away, but be mindful of your tool rest length. Another tool you can use bowl turning, spindle turning, is a skew chisel, which is equally beveled on both sides. In this application, you're going to run like this, or like this, cutting the bottom third of the blade along here. If you dip in, this point could catch. So I'm not very good with a skew chisel, but I'm going to try getting rid of this last part, evening out this part of the shaft. So for right now, I've decided that this portion here is going to be handle. So I want to shape this area for a grip, having a raised spot on both ends for prevent sliding of the hands and make the diameter comfortable in the hands. And I'm going to leave this until I finish that white oak sphere. It's going to go up here. So I'm going to just work on shaping this. So this is a spindle gouge. It's different than a bowl gouge where it's very shallow flute used for cutting spindles. And that's what I'll be using to work this down, shape these ends. think this is all the shaping I'm going to do now. I might sand it. And then I'll have to drill a hole and fit this to go in the hole perfectly. So I sanded up through 220 and modified the shape slightly. But this will be the final shape. I'm not going to finish it at the person's request. So now I have to shape the sphere that's going to go on the end of it, drill the right size hole, and make this tenon even and the exact diameter of the hole I drill. And then I'm going to epoxy it in so it's all one. So that's what I'll be working on, and I'll bring you back when I do that. One cool thing I found when I was cleaning the shavings, from using the skew chisel at that angle, you get a nice long, tight, curling shaving as opposed to straight on tool, which is going to look like a ribbon curl, where this almost looks like a tube. Just thought I'd share that. And I did find my other spur drive. Looks like this, where this point is spring loaded. So as you push it in, these teeth will grip into the wood. Vice that spur drive, where you have 4 large teeth.